I am actually I'm excited about this. Everyone, we have a guest today, and you know that we don't normally do guests, so you know that this person must be fantastic. She's beautiful. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see this spectacular face. You can hear the voice. We have Amy from Sun Mother. How are you, babe?
I'm good. I'm really good. How are you? I'm stoked. I'm so stoked to be a guest. I feel very special.
I am fantastic. It's been a bit of a chaotic morning here. I had to return some chicken, and I had like this little Virgo timeline of everything. You're like, why are you returning chicken? Long
That's what I'm thinking.
And I feel like it's long overdue because we have been having our little private podcast in the DMs.
Yeah, I love a private podcast. It's like my favorite way to communicate with people.
Before we get into it though, and I think we've got some epic, I think just we're going to have a nice little informal chat instead of this being a bit of Q&A style. But do you want to tell everyone what you do? I'm obsessed with your brand. I just want to say this first.
Oh, thank you.
And I always can tell that someone is legendary when I hear about them through their clients and how epic they are, and then I discover them. It's like if I hear multiple people talk about a person, I'm like, who is this person? And when they talk about you with such high praise.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. I feel the same about you. That's how I met you too, or found you, I should say. So we obviously have a lot of, mutual clients, which is really cool. But I guess the way I describe what I do now is different even from just last year, because I call myself like a recovering designer. Like I was like a pixel pusher for a long time and I'm almost completely out of that now. But I've been sort of strategizing for people in business for a long time alongside that. And now that's kind of more what I do. So similar in a way to what you do, but slightly different areas, I guess. So creative strategist and business coach is essentially what I call myself. And I like to work with, I say thought leaders because, people who really are super aligned to what they're doing, not just people who want to make money, but like more than that. Yeah. And I talk a lot about magnetism, building a magnetic brand and focusing on like what you want to do, who it's for, and strategizing, but also like just being an action taker as well. So all of those things combined.
Yeah, and I think we have so many, there are so many similarities. I remember when I looked at your brand, I loved your images, and we were just talking about that earlier. They're beautiful, sexy website, like just everything that you do. It's and obviously this is your job, but just the attention to detail, like everything is just really, it's just well thought out, and it's so you. And
Thank you. I do feel like
that.
It is behind the scenes maybe sometimes, like, neurodivergent brain, it's like really neat and tidy and awesome in some ways and then just like chaos in other ways. But business, I like to keep nice and neat and tidy all the time, of course.
Oh, same. Otherwise, it's just, yeah. I will have like a little breakdown. I went through last night because I know when we were like, what do we talk about? Because we've spoken about like 15 different concepts already in the last like 5 days. And I scrolled up. I was like, let me scroll up and see what sparked this all. And it was a post by Suze Chadwick.
Okay.
And she was talking about how to get more out of your investment. So if you buy like a course or if you work with a coach or you buy something, how you're going to get more. And I shared it and I put some commentary because it's like, I can't just share something. I have to put the little Peter Saris footnote on something because, like you, I love to talk. We got a podcast. And it was me. I said, I'm like, I've seen a huge shift online for people saying that they won't sell self-paced courses because no one does them. And I said, there needs to be a level of self-responsibility of the business owner to action things they buy. And
110%.
This started everything with us.
Okay. That's where it was. Because I couldn't remember where it started either. But it's like once you see that someone else who's in a peer to you has a similar perspective or value, you're like, yes, let's talk about this. And I was really excited to dive into that with you. And I know we have kind of already gone there, but what would you like to talk about in terms of this? Because I have so many things to say, but I feel like I'll go on lots of tangents.
I think it's really interesting that, because you've been, how long have you been in business? 14 years?
This business specifically, 6 years. But before that, I was same account. I was running another business and I pivoted it all up, honestly, since I'm nearly 35. So, oh God, I'm trying to calculate in my head, 10, 5, that's 15. So honestly, about 15 years, maybe even more, but consistently running business the whole time.
Okay, so we're like the same. I'm 16, I don't know. I think I registered my first business in 2008. And I started trading in 2009. And I think, we've been in business long enough to see like multiple shifts. And I think where we, I guess, like bonded in the DMs is around like what is kind of happening now. And what I shared with you was I said, sometimes I feel like I can't say what I want to say because people will brand me like, oh, you're perpetuating hustle culture. Like, how dare you expect people to work? Like, people have families. And I think, the difference with me is being single, not having children. It's like anytime I allude to someone working on their business, they're hit with, you don't know what it's like because you don't have
Oh,
children.
right.
And I'm like, oh, and then I've even heard people say you shouldn't take advice from people that don't have children because they have no understanding about what it's like. And I think we're in this really interesting timeline where, especially now with AI, it's like we've added this other layer. I think I keep encountering people that are truly exceptional at what they do, but what actually lets them down is the fact that they don't want to do the work on their business because someone sold the idea that they don't have to do the work. It's like, oh, if you have to work, if you have to do all of this, it's like the hustle culture. And it's like you're building a business, you're going to burn out. And then we have a lot of people that they just don't want to do it.
100%. And it's so interesting you say that because when you started talking about kids, my first thought was, all of these people in my head who I've also bonded with, like I have with you, who also have kids and who are doing insane amounts of money at like their business is absolutely thriving and they've done that despite having kids. Like it's not one or the other. You don't like, I feel like the other thing is I feel like there's a lot of, okay, what rabbit hole am I going to go down? I've been thinking a lot about this lately because I don't like to, I'm not a woo person, to be honest, but I also do realize like logically that there is just parts of our brain that are telling us things that we aren't even aware of. And it's not woo. It's just like literally how our brains work. And I noticed that some people are more willing to sort of acknowledge that there are things that are going to hold them back and things they're going to tell themselves that are going to, find all the reasons under the sun not to do something. And then there are other people who are going to be like, yeah, or I could just try it, or I could just do it, or I could just give it a go, or I could just like, and I think realistically having kids sometimes, I don't want to say it wrong because, for anyone who's listening, I have 2 kids and I started this business that I'm running now when my first kid was 1 and I was experiencing postpartum depression and anxiety. So I was alone in a house with a kid 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, and I still built a business that now supports my family of 4. So I'm saying this from the perspective of I've done it and not I just have a perspective on kids and blah, 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 and my kids aren't super easy. We're a neurodivergent family. But I think that if I had have had the mindset that, well, I have kids now, it's too hard, where would I be? I'd probably be in a marketing job in Sydney. I'd be commuting 10 hours a day. I would never see my kids. I'd only see them on the weekends. If they're sick, I'd be asking someone if I can have time off and they'd be getting the shits with me and my life would be horrible. And so I guess the point is your mind will consistently give you reasons not to do something, no matter what it is. There'll always be a reason to be like, you know what, that sounds too hard. What if it doesn't work? I don't think it's the right time for me. I need to wait till it's the right time. All of this bullshit, but it's not, there's never going to be a right time. Like there literally isn't. You have to make the time and like make it the right time for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely do. I'm having that at the moment, actually, not business, but with my fitness. And like we're getting back to being fit. And it's really interesting that I am finding myself, like my background's fitness, and I'm finding myself falling back into the trap that my clients used to, where they had this idea where for them to exercise effectively, right? It's like, oh, we have to have an hour and we have to feel like doing it and we have to have energy. And I was like, where did you get this from? Like, who created this, I think, unrealistic standard?
Yeah.
And I'm now the same. Where I'm like, oh, I'm a bit tired. I've only got half an hour. I just won't do it because I'm kind of waiting for this perfect circumstance. And I think that I see this translate into business where, you see people, and I have this with clients where they're like, oh, this has happened or that's happened, or I don't feel like this, or something has come up. And I think that there's this perpetual wait.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who led them to believe. Actually, you know what? I'm lying. I think that this all came down from that damn bloody ideal day in business. You know how everyone's like, what's your ideal day?
Yeah, okay.
And then everyone's trying to like be like, well, that's my ideal day. It's like I've got great hair and I'm ovulating and I feel like doing it.
Yeah.
Paid me $10,000. And it's like, that's now the standard of what people are working towards. So I think that if they feel like that they don't have that working for them, that they can't do their business. And if you're like, hey guys, show up, or like, let's like work on stuff, or let's grow your business. That's when people are like, no, don't tell me to hustle. Like, I don't want to burn it. I don't want this hustle culture.
Yeah.
Because I think that people have led people to believe that and it's really funny. I don't think people are conscious of this, where it's like everything needs to work in your favor. to actually have a successful business. And if someone tells you to show up when it's not working, they're perpetuating hustle culture and you're going to burn out.
Oh my God, I have so many things to say. First of all, fitness thing, I'm right there with you. Like, you're not alone in that. Man, like there's times where I'm like going every week and it's so good. And then there's other times where I'm literally like, you know what? It's sprinkling. I'll stay home. It's like, it's like a tiny bit of water. It's not a big deal. So yeah, it's a good metaphor. The other thing that came up for me is I say this to my group a lot. So I feel like it's a good phrase to remember. Convenient circumstances. Like that's what it is. We make up convenient circumstances. Like, actually, no, I'm feeling a bit off today. Maybe I should postpone. Maybe I shouldn't do that today. But like, that's the thing your mind does. And the other thing is, I was actually listening to, and it's funny, I'm going to mention this person because we've both mentioned this person a lot to each other. I was listening to Hormozy. I know some people aren't going to like this, but he's a clever guy. And he was talking about how it takes you a long time, or it takes people a long time, especially when they're first starting out in business, to realize that a lot of the investments, and I don't mean money, I mean like just investing in your time and like doing things and trying things. A lot of the things that you need to invest in doing in your business are actually long-term payoffs. And we're in this hustle culture, this dopamine culture where it's like, like people aren't willing to do something that pays off later. They're more likely to just try something for now. Like if I say, okay, realistically, what are you building? Like, what do you want your business to actually be? A lot of people don't know. They're like, oh no, I just need money now. And it's like, well, you kind of needed to do that 6 months ago, like, or more. You can't just make money right this second if you haven't done anything yet. Like, you need to build to that,
It's interesting you say that, because I think like I've said this before to clients, where I feel in a way Instagram has kind of ruined business because everything is instantaneous. Like, you can market instantaneously. You can come up with an idea. You can even now write it in the notes on your phone, take a screenshot, put that up as a post. I think because of that, it's like if we wait an hour and we don't get the result that we want, it's like, oh, we've failed. I look back at when my first ever ad that I did, you advertised in a newspaper. It was like TV, newspaper, radio, or letterbox shop. It was
and magazines.
Yes. Like that's what you did. And the thing is, you think about that, it's like you can't just go to a magazine and they're going to publish it and it's in everyone's hands. Like everything is really it's a long game.
Yeah.
And I think the shortest that it could be would be the newspaper, depending on like the lead time. So I remember my first ever ad, it's so terrible. I actually found it the other day randomly when I was cleaning up. And it was funny because I walked in with my mum. She's like, you need to put an ad in the paper. And we walked in, and I think it was like $50 or something. And I was like being really cheap because I didn't want to spend any money. Because I was like, my target market doesn't read the Maitland Mercury mum. Like, no one's going to read this. And we're having this big argument in there. And I used the most minimal characters. And I think I had to I did it. And I think it came out like 3 or 5 days later. And I had to then wait for people to read the paper. And then everything that I did, and, having a dad that worked in advertising, so he did a lot with like television, print media, everything was such a long game. And you had to kind of like make a plan, do things and wait. And I think what this got me in the habit of is still moving forward, knowing that I kind of have done the work, but I'm not going to see the payoff, and I need to just keep that going. Where I think that we have, and this upsets me because I think that this truly happens to people that are epic at what they do.
Yes.
And this is where I'm like, there are so many, this is going to sound terrible, but like idiots that have really big businesses. And the only reason that they do it because they plan.
Yep.
And even if they're
100%.
not getting the results, they keep showing up and posting up. And I think this is the thing with Alex Hormozy. I'm the same as you. I love him. And I think I take my hat off to someone that hasn't hidden the work that he's done to get to where he's been.
Yeah.
And you cannot discredit the fact that the man shows up. He is visible.
And visibility is like a huge part of it, right? And I think that, like you're saying, you are in the sort of, I think both of us are like this actually, because similarly, I was just thinking as you were talking about the ads, I was literally publishing a magazine. Like that's what my business was. It was such a long process. It took me like 6 months to a year to build one magazine, and I was getting advertisers, so people were paying me for advertising, and it was a very long process. And, you wouldn't be launching this thing until like at least a year and a bit after you'd ideated the whole thing. So you're strategizing so far ahead that you kind of like you're used to planning ahead and thinking ahead and not just thinking about tomorrow. And so that's like a huge, I think, benefit that we have, because starting a business now and not having any experience in it, it would be such a different way for your brain to be like, I guess, like taking it all in and prioritizing things. Like you just wouldn't be thinking the same. But what you said just then about Hormozy and, you know, the visibility thing, it's so true. Like people don't need to be smarter than you or better than you to get further ahead than you. And I'm sort of saying this to my clients all the time, like you don't need another degree. It's also another thing that's keeping you stuck. Like if you think you need another degree to create the business that you want to be creating, and you're already skilled and you already have what you need to do that role, no one else is going to give you permission. It doesn't matter what other accreditation you have. Like it's your job to just say, I'm going to do it now and do it. That's it. And it seems so simple, but like we're adults and we get to make decisions. I just have such a positive mindset too. I think that that benefits me. You know, I obviously think negative things as well, but I'm used to going, no, I'm going to believe in myself and I'm going to do this. And I really believe in the people I work with too. I think sometimes more than they do, and it can help them. But also it's like, you need to also believe in yourself, because without me, like when we finish together, what happens? Like you need to be able to back yourself. You know, that's a huge part of it.
How did you get to that point? Like, were you always, when you started your business, did you always believe in yourself?
There's sort of different levels of it, I think. Like I look back at videos of myself now from, do you remember when Instagram released stories?
Yeah.
And it was like, what? This is not, what was it? It was like they took from, what was the other app? I've forgotten that already. Snapchat. I was like, what's going on here? They've taken Snapchat. And I was like, look, I'm just going to do it. I was running a photography business at the time. It's another hidden thing that I have. I studied photography and graphic design at uni, and I was like, I'm gonna be an artist. I'm gonna exhibit my work all over the country. That's gonna be my job. Like, funnily enough, it's not that easy to just be an artist and exhibit work. So I worked in design for a long time. I ended up starting a photography business, which became my full business by the time I got pregnant and had a baby. I quit my full-time job in a media role, which was paying me good money, and it was terrifying. I remember I felt like I was gonna vomit the day I handed in my resignation, because I had a baby, and I was like, this is the time I need to quit, because there's no other time that's coming for me that I have any other reason that's going to be better than this. Like I want to be at home with the baby, but I want to work on my own time. So I was like, that's it, I'm quitting. But I built up the client base enough so that I had bookings across a whole year, and I could, like, I had the software and everything that I needed so I could see my income. And I was like, sweet, I've pretty much nearly made all of the money I needed to cover my old job already. But then COVID hit, and it was like, holy shit, like no photo shoots allowed for the whole year. So that's when this business launched. I was like, well, you know, I could actually do design. Why am I not doing design? And then I pivoted to this. All of that to say, I remember just before it flipped into Sun Mother, doing stories for the first time. And I watched them back recently, and I was like, oh God, it makes me want to puke watching myself, because I just was so uncomfortable. But I remember at the time people being like, wow, you're so confident. You can just put yourself out there. And I'm like, no, I wasn't at all. Like I was shit scared. I hated the sound of my own voice. I hated having to look at myself on the camera, all of that stuff. But I think internally, I knew that I would look after myself better than an employer would. Like I trusted myself to look after myself more than my employers ever did. And now that I had a baby to look after, it was like, no, fuck that. I'm not putting my life into someone else's hands. I'm going to take control. I'm going to figure it out. And to be honest, it was also seeing some people, not necessarily parents. I didn't know any parents that were like, you know, killing it out there in the business space. But I did see people like, do you know Jai Long? He's a photographer. Yeah. I did one of his photography courses way before, like before he was doing what he's doing now. I really loved his mindset and the way that he spoke. But he used to say things about how he's never worried about where he's going to make his next dollar from, because he knows he has all these skills. And he knows that, like, I think he said something like, worst case scenario, I could be helping people post things on Instagram. Like, I know how to do that. That's a skill I have. And I was like, oh my God, he's so right, actually. And I wrote a list in my notes app of all the things I could do. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'll be fine. Look at all this shit I can do. Like, I'll find a way to make money. It's no big deal. I don't know if it's I believe in myself as like I'm this amazing person so much as I trust that I can look after myself, if that makes sense. And then I think the self-belief comes from doing. So it's like you do it because you trust that you can look after yourself, and then you prove to yourself you can do the thing, and then you believe in yourself. You know, it's like a muscle.
I was going to say, it's so funny you say that because I do something where I'm the same. I never stress about where my next dollar is coming from. Like I've said to people, I'm like, I'm actually exceptional broke. Like no one
Same.
can tell. I'm the same.
Totally.
I'm literally the same person. I can be having the worst day ever with no money in the bank and no one, like literally no one ever knows. And I have this thought regularly where I'm like, okay, cool. What happens then if I get no clients? And I'm like, I'll become a VA. I'd be an amazing VA. It's something I actually love that you said that. That's such a good task for people to do, to like go and I think physically take stock of all of the skills that they learn in business. And I think that we need to probably, even if we're really hard on ourselves, it's like I think we forget that when we have a business, we're the whole organization. Like when we have a job, it's like we are paid to do the role that we have. You know, we're not the accounts team, we're not the business development manager, we're not, when we might be marketing or payroll, but when we are like an entrepreneur, it's like we wear every single hat. And I think a lot of us need to just be like, hey, I'm actually awesome. Like people go to work and they struggle with their job. I'm literally doing the job of 12 different people and I do that every day. I do that around client work or whatever, like I actually do for delivery. And if I've got a family and I've got friends, like I'm doing all of this on top of that. And I love that you wrote that out. It's so funny because now I'm like, I want to go and write that out after this.
You should. It'd be too long. You'll be like, oh God, I need to stop. I'm exhausted.
So you know what I would do? I would do it and then I'd be like, oh, hold on. There's something here I can monetize. Let me create a course.
Yes.
That's what I would do.
Shiny object. You've got to be careful not to. See, this is the other thing. It's like, I've got two tangents I want to go on. One of them is, this is the hardest thing for me in business. It's staying focused on the thing that I'm building because like you, I have ADHD and it is like we are the people that were like the innovators of the tribe back in the day. Like we are the people that have all the amazing ideas and people sort of second guess us because we think of things first, right? But that can be a huge benefit and also like a huge con when it comes to sustainable business. But the one thing I want to say before we go down that, because I feel like there's lots we can talk about here, magnetism. And I think this is, like I told you at the beginning, this is something I talk about a lot with people. It literally is the name of my podcast, The Magnetic Pull. Magnetism, people say to me like, oh, how do I just really want to become more magnetic online. And it's like, okay, you have an energy about you. And if you don't believe in yourself and you're trying to show up online and tell people that you are this, you know, whatever title you've given yourself, it's not matching. Like if you're calling yourself some kind of a coach or leader or whatever you're doing, you need to literally be that person, like step into that person, like believe in yourself enough that you can show people that you are worth investing in, because that's the thing. It's like we can have an Instagram account and have some cool posts on there with some good information and we can have a skill, but if we can't literally embody the thing that we're saying we're going to do or show up confidently as the person that we need to be to make money, we're not magnetic. And so I think that's been a big practice for me over the years of this business, is like actually stepping into the role that I'm saying I'm doing instead of just hiding in the background like in those first stories that I did when I was a photographer and I felt really nervous. You have to push through the nervousness. And once you push through it, you will start to get more confident and like believe in yourself. And that's when it all starts to change, because that's when people come to you. They're like, whoa, who are you? I need to be part of your world, you know?
It's funny you say that because I saw someone on Threads post. I wish I could remember who it was. And she was like, if we all showed up as confidently and as incredible as we are written on our website, we would have no problems in business.
Totally. It's so true. We like write the perfect tagline and it's like everyone wants to get it. Like, you know, people send it to me. Is this right? And I'm like, it's amazing. Like, that's great. But tagline's the tiniest little piece of who you are. Like when you're building a brand, just the logo and the tagline, it's not a lot. Yeah, it's important, but not that important. Like you are more important. Have no logo and just be awesome.
I ran a live event yesterday called How to Have a Hot Business. One of the things we're talking about pricing. No, we're talking about sales, sorry. And I was saying that people usually only talk about their pricing and these big numbers when they're pitching. It's like if you have a $10,000 package, it's all, you're only probably going to talk about it when you're having to sell it to a client. What made me think about that was I was thinking that a lot of people usually remain hidden or not themselves until it's kind of time to show up. And one of the pieces of advice that I gave on the call is I said, you know, if you have capacity, I said, have a local coffee shop and go every day. Like go and get a takeaway or go and meet community, get out there and talk to people. Because I think especially like I've got my business in a co-working space, but before that I had a home-based business. And before that I had a Pilates studio. And let me tell you, when I moved into my co-working space, and it's a big company, it's called The Commons. And in the location where I joined, there was Keep It Cleaner. There was Greta Van Reel that had like the skinny me tea. There was the Oodie, like
Oh my God.
huge businesses. And
Yeah.
I freaked out a bit because I was like, oh my God, like even though you looked on my website, and it's not the website I had now, it was one that I did. So it was nowhere near as good, but it was bold and it was punchy. And it was so funny that I was like, oh my God, I just wanted to shrink and I wanted to be really quiet. And I'm like, I'm going into the space with businesses that are generating multiple millions of dollars where people were talking about having a quiet year making 7 million. Like that was the standard that I'd moved into. I'd moved from my dining room table into that. It was so interesting that I'm like, I don't know how, like I'd moved in after I had a really good launch of Give Good Email. I think I made like, I think it was 22,000 bucks or something. And I was like, this is serious business. I'm going to move into a serious space. I still was kind of feeling a little bit wobbly in my process. And I think I felt wobbly because I actually knew in myself that I wasn't doing what I should be doing. I was thinking small, I was charging small, and I was still showing up small. And I hadn't yet stepped into the version of myself that I knew that I could be, that my website was really being like, she's this bad bitch, like work with her if you want this. What I did when I went in there, I told myself that I was like, this is the start of a new chapter and you can turn up and you can be anyone that you want. And what I did is I thought about something like a situation where I really thrive in. And then I was like, how could I kind of make that happen within this workspace? And what I did, it's crazy. I was like, I'm really great in like pub and club and hotel bathrooms. Thrive in that.
I actually do too. Yes.
Get me in a bathroom. I'm chatting with everyone. I'm giving advice. Like I'm giving you toilet paper in the store. I'm helping out with the crisis. I'm onto someone's like on their phone with their boyfriend, like having an argument. And I was like, okay, cool. You don't have to make it work in the office, but let's just start in the bathroom.
Oh, I love this. Yeah.
And the first few people that I met, because it just felt so much safer. It was this small space with like one person and not this like big workspace with all of these people. And I was like, cool, you just have to be a bad bitch in the toilets. Like, let's just start there. And like the first day I met this woman and I walked in and I opened the door and I was like, that top looks so fucking hot on you. And she was like this real professional work. And she was the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. And that's how I started.
Yeah.
I was like,
love
let
it.
me just start here. And I didn't kind of tell myself that I had to like wake up and do this from the time that my eyes opened to when I went to bed. I was like, let's just start here. And from that, it's so interesting that like by the end of the week, I felt like I could actually start to be more myself, the myself that I wanted to be, that I knew that I could be, that my website actually said. And I didn't put so much pressure where it's like I was that person as soon as I walked in the door.
Oh, I love that story so much. It's so true. And like, I love the energy. Like you did it at the beginning of the call too. Like you made me feel so comfortable with the compliments and like, it didn't feel fake either. Like you can feel that it's coming from a genuine place. And I think that that's such an like incredible thing that you have. But there was another thing that came into my mind when you started talking about this new space that you went to and all of the people that were making all of this money. And like, I guess they were like known businesses, right? And it's that quote that sort of goes around in the business space a lot about the smallest person in the room is like the best thing you can do, because you need to be surrounding yourself with people who are incredibly inspiring and like who are ahead of you, or you're just going to feel like it's like being the big fish in the small pond. Like you don't want to be that in business. You want to be going into the big ocean and like seeing what's possible and like aiming towards something bigger and better and feeling inspired and absorbing that knowledge. But I think we all have that mindset, and maybe it comes from school, I don't know, society, where we're like, oh, I don't fit in here, like I'm not good enough. But again, I think it comes back to that mindset thing, right? Like you have something in you that allows you to push through the discomfort and like do it anyway. And I think we all do. I think that people just need to learn how to tap into that better. And like, hopefully this conversation helps, but a lot of it is just like noticing that you're thinking something and telling yourself something and going, whatever, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Like these businesses that are further ahead than you were at that point, what, like realistically, when you break it down, I say this to my clients, like what's the worst thing that's going to happen if you put something on Instagram, for example, that's showing your face? And a lot of people would say, well, people will laugh at me. And I'm like, well, they probably won't do it directly. But if they do, you know what I mean? Like, if they do, I know it sounded bad the way I said it.
No,
you know what I mean?
I really love advice like that because I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. No, I like that you're acknowledging that it could happen.
It
but
totally could happen. Like, but do you know what though? This is actually quite like, I'm still kind of flabbergasted by this. I have a client and she's in my group program and she's incredible. She's one of those people that she has done everything that I've recommended. I'm never like, you have to do this. Like, I'm just not that person. But I'm always like, this is what I think you need to be doing right now in order to get to where you want to be, right? She has done everything and she has come in with like barely any tech skills at all and she's killing it. I look at her and I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of her. Anyway, she's putting face-to-camera videos out there, like she's sharing her message, she's done the email list, she's doing everything. And she recently had someone from high school literally respond laughing at a video of her. And I was like, this is one of those things that I tell people won't actually happen. Like, it's like what you think will happen, but it won't. And it actually happened. And I was like, holy shit, what an awful, sad human being, like to actually go to that much effort. This is someone she doesn't speak to on a regular basis. Like, it's someone that was just stalking her, obviously jealous, obviously completely insecure. And that's why they felt the need to like tear her down. But what I was so stoked with was she brought that to the group and told everybody. And it only happened a few days before. And she'd already like processed it, moved through it and thought, fuck it, and kept going and kept putting things out there. And I was like, see, this is exactly what you need to be able to do. Like, you need to be able to take a hit and still keep going because like, I don't want to pretend that business is going to be totally fine once you just believe in yourself. It's all like rainbows and flowers. Like, it's not. It actually kind of gets harder in some ways, but you need to be able to build the muscle of like, I'm not going to let that destroy me because I've got bigger things coming. And this person that I don't even speak to that knows me when I was 16 and doesn't anymore, like, what has that got to do with me? Nothing. You know, like, you've made it once you get a troll, essentially.
I think it is something that I hate about Australia where we have tall poppy. And it's funny because I've had conversations with friends that do business with other markets. And they're like, this is something that doesn't really exist overseas, but it's something that we have to deal with here. And it's interesting you say that. I had a stint when I worked in online publishing and I'd write articles about like sex and dating. And the articles would be like picked up from like other media. And then it was so interesting. I had this article that I wrote, I think it was in like 2016. And then I think the Daily Mail reported on it in 2019. They were actually fantastic. It was a great article. Like, she checked everything with me. I can't fault the experience with them. But then there were a few other publications that did. Like, I ended up having to get a defamation lawyer involved. Like, it got really, really messy. I made the mistake of reading the comments because I think everyone kept flagging with me. They're like, this is really bad. And the lawyer was like, you need to go through and take screenshots of everything. And there was, to put in perspective, there were so many negative comments that I couldn't even take screenshots. I had to take a video of me scrolling through it, and the video was 3 minutes long.
Wow.
Like, yeah. And I went through and I looked at who liked the awful comments, and some of them were like, they were, if I were to post it, my account would be banned. Like, they were that bad. And it was wild that there were people from my past who had liked the comment. And people who, it was really interesting now, some of them have businesses and they were in the spiritual space and stuff where I'm like, oh.
Why does that not surprise me somewhat?
Isn't this? Yeah. And it's funny because my friends were fantastic through the whole process. And I told some of them, and like, you need to confront this person. And I was like, you know what? There's no point, because for me, it just highlights where they're at. Like, I actually don't see this about anything about me. It highlights where they're at. And I think one of the most helpful things for me whenever I'm feeling a bit wobbly is I will go and I will look at books or something that I bought that has changed my life that I think is truly exceptional. And I will go and I will look at their reviews. And it's so interesting that I can think that something is like top tier work and there will always be people that will have an opinion about it. And Alex Hormozi's comment section is the same. Like, I think he's incredible. The reason I think he's so incredible as well is you can tell he is so embodied in the work because the way that he explains things is so simple and easy to digest that I think only someone that is experienced and has a true understanding can deliver information like that. And he still has pushback in every single comment section. There is someone that is disagreeing with him or telling him that he's unethical or saying that he's just like, it's a scam. And it's so funny. I'm thinking, how is it a scam? He never sells anything. He's got his books. Most of his content's free.
Everyone says everything is a scam. And you know what? This again comes back to, It's like, the magnetize thing. When I talk about magnetism, you have to repel people. You can't magnetize people without repelling people. And the people you repel, that's a good thing because you don't want them. Imagine if these people were somehow deluded into buying from you and wanting you as their coach and then getting into the sort of portal with you and realizing, oh shit, this person is the complete opposite of what I need or can help with, right? Like you need to be willing to put yourself out there in order to get that sort of, whether it's criticism or just unfollows or unsubscribes, like we get so hyper-focused on the negative. But like what I said to that client as well was, because I said, did you delete the video? And she was like, yeah, I took it down straight away. I'm like, put it back up. The thing is, if someone's responded in such a strong way to that video, I guarantee you'll be magnetizing people with it. And I watched the video and it wasn't even like, to me, it wasn't even remotely out there. It was like just her doing something relatively normal to show what, like it was not something, I can't even understand why someone would laugh at it. It wasn't even funny in like a little bit of it was just stupid. So yeah, it's fully tall poppy. And I think sometimes people even experience this from their own circles. Like I noticed that a lot in the programs that I run. People will say, that they expect to get, support or love or likes from the people that are close to them. But what I've learned through doing this whole business thing, is even the people who love me and believe in me, I believed in myself more before I started to be successful. And I had to be willing to do that. And I was resentful a lot of the time at the start because it's like, why isn't anyone taking this seriously? Like, why isn't anyone taking my business seriously? Then all of a sudden it's going really well and everyone's like, oh, wow, you're doing so well. And it's like, yeah, I did this. I didn't need you to be like, whatever people expect their friends and family to be doing for them. I could do it anyway, and I think that adds to the self-belief muscle of like, I trust myself. I know what I'm doing. I've always figured it out. So I'll figure it out,
It's interesting, this conversation, because I hear people say that they just want to go viral and they want their brand to explode overnight. And I think what we need to remember, it's like if our day or our week is fucked, if someone disagrees with us, it's like when we go viral, that is the most light that we are ever probably going to have on our business. And because of that, we're going to get so many people who love us, but it's like, we're not just going to get one person who has a hate comment or disagrees with us. It's probably going to be 100 or 1,000. And I think that this is where I'm like so for slow growth.
Yeah, me too.
I will never say, you can, like, you'll explode overnight. I'll guarantee money. I always tell clients this on calls, in my DMs. I'm like, I will never guarantee that you will get the result that you want in 3 months. I said, but I will guarantee that you are doing good work, that we are working towards that. And the stuff that we're doing, it's not like your business is just going to fall over or it's going to have like a really quick expiry date. Yeah. And I think also within that, you learn so much about yourself, and you, as you said, it's like you build up that muscle. Where it's like you build up the, I'm dealing with people that disagree with me muscle. I'm dealing with a troll muscle. I'm dealing with failure muscle. And there's so many things in business where it's like, oh, what's that thing in the Olympics where it's like you do like 8 different things, or like it's like you do shot put or something else.
I'm not a sport person. I have no idea.
Well, I'm not a sport person either. So I'm like, why the hell did I think of this? But you know how it's like you need to do like all of these different,
bit of everything,
like javelin and this. Yeah, business is like that. And I think that we can be good at business or bad at business, but it's like good at business is an umbrella over all of this stuff. Bad at business,
and it's
umbrella.
There's skills, right?
Exactly.
Like you learn the skill. Yeah. I'm always saying this as well. Like, you guys, you've got to learn this. Like, that's why I say the thing, like, you don't need another degree or, I mean, that's a good example. That's not the only thing, but but you need to be able to hone the skills. And like you said, you can't promise someone that they're going to have this crazy growth overnight. Going viral isn't business growth. It's like aesthetic metrics. It's not actually going to change the game for you if you haven't set up everything else in business and you don't know what you're doing. Like, you may just get flooded with DMs, people requesting to work with you, and you'll be like, holy shit, how do I even, like, I don't have any systems. I don't know what to offer them. Like, you need to really have an actual structure and then learn the skills to like manage all the different pieces, like you're saying, like all the different, I don't know what the metaphor is. So I can't join you on the Olympic metaphor, but all the different sports skills or whatever it is, and marketing's one of the skills, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know, oh man, I could honestly talk about this stuff literally all day because I have so much to say. I'm nervous though about talking about the kids thing now. I'm like going over it in my head and I'm like, I just want to add that one thing, and I think you're probably the same in this. One thing that I always stand by and say to my clients is you don't have to build a business the same as somebody else. You get to choose. And I think it's the last day tomorrow. I'm in the middle of an 11-day challenge right now with my audience, and it's like a own your audience challenge, right? So the whole point of it is showing people that you can't just go viral. You can't just get likes and comments. Like, you need to actually have your business set up behind the scenes as well. Someone messaged me and she said, I'm loving this challenge so much. Like, I haven't actually done any of these behind the scenes business things properly yet. Like, it's such a short period of time and it's so simple, but it's given me the steps that I needed. And it's funny because this person from the outside, their business looks beautiful and amazing. Like, on Instagram, it's like polished, and you'd think that they'd be doing really well and they'd have heaps of clients. But she was like, I think I've always had in my head that I can't run a business and be a mum. I like need to choose one. And I was like, no, you don't. Why do people say this? Like, there's a lot of messages out there like, no, mums can't have it all, women can't have it all. And I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe you can't have like everything in life you want, but you can have a business and look after your kids if you want to. And you get to choose how that looks. You don't have to be making multi 6 or 7 figures, and you don't have to be working 5 days a week, and you don't have to put them in daycare. Like, you choose what you want to do and prioritize what you want to prioritize. So,
and it's funny you say that, because I find that the best clients that I've ever had are mums.
yeah,
They're the best, because and it's so funny that they doubt themselves the most. But I'm like, no, you're great with time management. You look at a 15-minute window completely different to someone that has
100%.
Like, you are so efficient with getting things done. You've got really good boundaries. You're used to saying no. You learn so many skills being a parent that translate so well to business. And I think too, it's like, this is where some people will look at Alex Hormozy and they'll be like, I can't build a business because he doesn't have children and he works heaps. And it's like, but he's going to have different end results to you. Like, he exits business. He builds them up. He has staff. He sells them for a profit. We don't want to do that. Most people want a lifestyle business that works around their family. And the thing is, you can have that. It's about, and I think you said this at the start of the call, where it's like, you need to decide what your goal is and what you're working towards and how that looks. Because the more clear that you are with yourself, I find it so easy to do everything in your business, because you kind of know how things have to look. Like, if you know that you can work on your business, Monday and Tuesday, then that's it. You'll make it work. And I have a really beautiful example of this. One of our clients, Rachel Rose.
Yeah, amazing.
She's epic. Like,
so good.
She has got like everything that she does. I'm like, she is just a beautiful example of how to thrive and have a family and not lose yourself and still grow. She's on like her health. I hate the J word, but her health journey at the moment. She shares all of this. She's beautifully vulnerable, but also at the same time, not revealing everything, still holding back stuff, which I think is super important. It's really funny because I have people say, I know so much about you. And I'm like, you think that you do, but I only, I overshare what I want you to know. And I hold back. Like, I will probably one day turn up on Instagram and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm married. And everyone will be like, hold on, what? And I think she's just a really perfect example of someone who knows who she is. She knows what she wants. She's got really high standards and strong boundaries around how she wants to run her business. And she is still really successful.
She's so successful. Yeah, it's great. And like, she also is willing to do it without everything being like polished to perfection, and not saying that her work isn't amazing. Like, I did her brand and her website a while ago, and she's willing to invest in things like that. Yeah. But at the same time, if she has something she wants to say that she knows her audience needs to hear, she'll say it, and she won't sit on it for 3 weeks and go, oh, it doesn't look right. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's not the time. And if she wants to launch something, she will figure it out and launch it, and she will make money. And I think that's the action taking part as well. Like, you're so right. I think motherhood and business, they do have similarities. And I think having been in business before I became a mum, but having started this specific business when I became a mum, is like the difference between my business now and my businesses before. I'm still learning. I mean, I actually, this is another tangent. I actually studied nutrition for a while as well. Did we talk about this? How funny. And I remember one of the classes I had to take was like a counseling class, because, you have to be one-on-one with people. And I remember her talking about boundaries. And look, I was like 21 at this time, maybe 22. And I remember being like, I don't really understand this concept. Like, I did not understand what boundaries were. I was like shocked to realize, I don't think I have any of those. Oh shit, I need to work on this. And like, ever since then, I've been really trying, and I'm so much better now. But man, becoming a mum, all of a sudden it's like, it's this weird thing where you give birth to this human, the primal instinct of it is like, don't fucking touch this thing. This is mine. And it's like, you've never felt like that about anything before, even yourself. Like you have this weird like lioness thing going on, and you start to have like disagreements with people because they want to just take the baby or kiss the baby or touch the baby. And you're like, don't fucking touch it. And I think you really become good at managing conflict and boundaries in that way. And it makes you stronger. Yeah. Like you said, later in business where you have to say, I don't actually do, like, here's one boundary I have in my business. I don't do phone calls. I do Zoom calls. I don't do phone calls. I don't give my number out. It's a strong boundary. I do not want text messages and phone calls from people whenever they feel like it. I have very specific ways they can contact me and I get back to them, but I don't want texts or phone calls. You get to make the decisions. Like you get to build the business that you want to have, and you don't have to go, oh, well, Amy's doing it that way and, Peter's doing it that way. So it's your business and you're an adult and you get to make decisions.
Yeah, I love that. It's something as well, I think, there can sometimes be a disconnect where people have exceptional strong boundaries and high standards in their personal life. And I think a lot of the time when it then comes to business, a lot of people are, oh, well, I need to release all of them and have nothing so that I can do well. And I think a lot of this has come from the normalization of shit in business, where it's like, business is not always going to be easy. It is challenging. It is a hard way to make a dollar at times, but it's really interesting. I've had people before say, oh my gosh, I hate how like no clients pay and they're always late paying. And I'm really quick to say, I don't even have that. I'm like,
Same.
We would get like one bounce payment a quarter. And now I'll have people follow me up straight away being like, oh my gosh, I have no idea how this has happened. And I'm like, look, don't stress. It's going to try your card tomorrow. And it's so funny that they'll look at me like, they're like, well, hold on, you're the odd one out. And I'm like, no, we need to stop normalizing this. You need to have like a really high standard around this and create a boundary.
Yeah.
And when you have these conversations, people are like, oh, I'm really good at this in my personal life. But for some reason, when it comes to business, it's like this just goes the window. And I think it's because it's what you were saying before about what Jai Long said around how he doesn't need to know where his next dollar is going to come from because he feels fine with that, and how you were the same. And I think I'm the same. I think that's a learned skill. It's going to take time to adopt.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if this is really new to you, it's like, oh, well, hold on. There's a person here presenting me money and I'm a business and I'm meant to take money. And although this client is really red flaggy, I'm just going to take them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then we deal with the fallout from that. And then it's like, oh, well, shit, this is just having a business. This is really bad. And then we have people second guessing, can I do this? I don't think I'm cut out for this. I want to go back to having a job. And it's like, you think about it, that's just one circumstance. If you don't have boundaries around so many things in your business, like not just client work, but, I love that you've got your email responder where it's like, I know when I can expect a response back to you. If you don't have boundaries around that and you have this happening so many times, then you have life happening. I think this is quite often where you get sick or your kids get sick or something happens, and then it's like just something happens where it's just the cherry on top and you're like, I don't want to have a business anymore. I want to stop this. And then we get really activated by what we see online when we see someone be like, just show up. It's not that hard. And it's like, it just rubs us the wrong way at the right moment.
You don't understand. Yeah, 100%. And you know what I think it is as well? I think it actually fully ties into they don't believe in themselves enough. And I think that people really need to start to I don't even know what, maybe the skills thing that I suggested before that you were saying they should do that. Like maybe start with that, but you need to prove to yourself that you are good at this and that you deserve to be paid. Because if you don't believe that, then you're going to let the payments bounce and you're going to just hope that they pay it and hope that they pay it. But actually you need to implement the boundaries and the structures in your business and the systems. Like I'm the same. If my clients don't pay, it's all dealt with in the back. I don't have to look at it. Realistically, I guess I would at some point if it never ended up getting paid, but that's never happened. If you don't have those boundaries in place and also being clear with people at the beginning and being confident in your prices and how the payments work. Like when I was doing one-to-one work a lot more than I am now, I would say to people on the call, you need to pay 50% deposit. And that was really hard for me because I was charging quite a bit for web and brand in comparison to what I was before. But that was like 50% is the deposit and it's non-refundable. You don't get that back because I book in a 2-month period of my calendar and I have a wait list. So if people aren't paying the deposit, what happens if they don't decide to follow through or they want a refund, And then your mindset of like, I am comfortable with money, like coming in and going out. I deserve money. Like all of that is actually I have a good book recommendation. It's called You're a Badass at Making Money.
Oh, by Jen Sincero.
I love that book.
Yeah.
I read it when I was really young and like, well, I don't know how much younger I was. Anyway, it feels like a long time ago. And it's one of those books that like, it was the beginning of my money journey, I guess. Again, there's that word journey, but it just like, it sort of like sparked something in me that was like, okay, fuck, I just need to, like the self-belief thing. Like actually it's my job to believe in myself. It's my job to get paid. No one else can do this for me. Part of that is like with the boundaries, like you just said, if people feel like they can contact you 24/7 and you don't have those boundaries with like email and phone and maybe you have like a group and you don't let them know that actually I'm not available 24/7. I have a life. Like you don't have to say that, but you know, you have your way of communicating that. If people think they can contact you 24/7, your time isn't very valuable anymore because you're not putting a boundary around how available you are. So then they're going to devalue who you are and how much you're worth and ask for more and more and more because you're not giving them a clear line. So a lot of it, I think, really does come back to how people feel about themselves and are willing to like put themselves out towards their clients and their prospects. Because if you come across as that self-doubt, hesitant, you know, insecure person, you're going to probably get walked all over a lot more than if you're willing to stand like into the, I feel like cringe in the words that are in my head, but like stand in your power almost, you know, of like, this is me and actually I'm worth a lot of money and I know I can like provide this incredible service for people or product for people and it's worth paying for because we live in a capitalist society. We need to make money to survive, especially if we have kids. We need to be able to provide. And so like it all comes down to being willing to like step up and actually provide by believing in ourselves enough to actually do that, you know, like no one else is going to do that for us. Yeah. And I don't know, I just think going back to a job in my mind, if you have to do that to continue to grow the business on the side and that's what you want to do, I have no shade. But I think there's such a big difference between giving up and just going and getting a job because you think it's going to pay you more or look after you more. Because realistically, again, it depends on the circumstances. I'm not going to generalize here, but like for me, it's like, I know that no one else is going to be able to pay me what I can pay me or even acknowledge the skill set that I know I have. People will always devalue you if you're employed by them.
I've never had a job though. So I know I'm agreeing.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm like agreeing with you and I'm like, yes. And I'm like, hold on, I've never had a job.
See, like the job I had before I like handed in my resignation, I had a lot of jobs and had businesses at the same time, the whole time. So this is the thing, like before I became a mum, at one point I was working a lot, like 5 days a week when I was very young, like 21, and publishing a magazine at the same time on my own. Like I was up late every night working on weekends. That was a choice. I didn't have to do that. No one was telling me to do that. I wanted to do that. So I've always had a drive to like do something if I had a belief that it was going to be beneficial, you know. The job thing, like, man, I was treated pretty bad by so many bosses. And that I think really gave me even more belief in myself because I was like, are you kidding me? You can't see that I'm doing, like I was a really good worker too. Like I was one of those employees that I wish I could hire. And I feel like I never got the acknowledgement.
Yeah, no, I get that. Well, hold on, I've undersold myself a bit. Okay, my last job that I had, I think I was employed for 2 weeks.
I can't wait to hear this story.
It was at a jewelry store.
I worked in a jewelry store once. Yep.
And I fucking hated it. The boss she was a mole. She was awful. Like I would tell her that now. Like it's so funny. People are like, you can't say that. And I'm like, oh no, I would tell her. She was awful. I was really thin back then because I was modeling. I was dancing and I think I was doing my Pilates course. And she was just awful to me. She's like, oh, you don't need a lunch break because you obviously don't eat. And she would like bitch about me to all of the other people. I remember one night, it was so funny. I'd had to work like this full day. I was only meant to be doing like 20 hours a week because we were opening a new store. I think I'd done something like 60 hours. My feet were killing.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in heels and like I just was not having a good day. And then I went to cheerleading after. And like I'd left my work uniform at cheerleading and I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. And I went home and I was just like sobbing to my mom. I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Like I've literally just done a 16-hour day. And mom's like, quit. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, it's quit. It's like so not worth it. Just like quit, just do your own thing. And I'm lucky that I had like 2 parents that were so like, no, you're just not going to get treated like that. So I'm really lucky that I think that I had like that modeling. Yeah. And I was also lucky that, you know, I lived at home when this happened. So I did have that kind of buffer where my parents were like, look, just like don't stress, just focus on studying, finish your qualification. But they were just like, no, you don't get treated like shit. Like, do not treat yourself like, do not accept that. And I think for me, that translated so like well in business, where as soon as I get a problem client or something happens, I'm like, no, we're fucking that off. And I think that this has come from, I think it's like a switch, and it's not. It is like a gradual progression of, I think, the standards that you have for yourself.
Yes.
And this is something that happens like every single day. And like one thing that I'm huge on is like you have to keep a promise to yourself, because if you keep a promise to yourself, you'll know that everything is going to be okay because you know that you can rely on yourself.
Literally, yeah.
Something that you were saying before, it's like we need to like it is a muscle that we have to work on, of just like trusting ourselves, knowing why we're awesome, knowing that everything is going to be okay. And it's like we can be the one to give ourselves such a beautiful life via our business. It's not going to be easy because there's obviously the whole mental aspect that comes with it. But I think what we need to remember, and please do that task if you're listening, about writing down all of the things of why you're amazing and all of the skills that you've got. And I think keeping that somewhere handy, and when you have wobbly moments, because I think that they happen for all of us, they still happen for me now. It's like looking at that and just remembering, hey, no, I'm awesome. I'm the shit. And I am doing the work to deliver the life that I deserve and the life that I want to have for myself or my family, whatever, through my business. And it's like, just remember that. And even if it still feels uncomfortable, that's okay. Because I think the positive emotion and how you want to feel is going to come from doing the work and moving through that.
Yeah. And you feel good doing the work. Like the more you do it, the more you enjoy actually doing the work and not necessarily the outcome as much. Like the money isn't the prize as much as actually, like, of course it's a prize, but it's not, if that's all you're thinking about, then you won't enjoy the actual work. And we need to learn to enjoy it. And we get so much more, I don't know what it is. It's not like dopamine. It's something. We get something, satisfaction from the experience of like, holy shit, I just did this thing. Like, I'm so proud of myself. Like self-pride is something I'm teaching my kids already. I'm like, but are you proud of yourself? Because actually to me, that's more important than whether I'm proud of you. Because of course I'm proud of you. I'm also lucky in having parents that are super like, don't take any shit, and like see that all of their kids have something valuable to give to the world. And they've always, like, I mean, I say I believed in myself more than everyone, and I know that because I think other people, I know, I won't go on too much of a tangent here, but I know that one of the things that I've noticed is people who love you and care about you, they're actually really scared that something bad will happen, and they're trying to protect you. And you don't have to protect yourself by like hiding away from the things that you are, because like feeling fear about something that you haven't done before is normal. That's like a human experience where we're like, I haven't done this, something bad could happen, but we need to be able to feel that and do it anyway. That's like part of stepping into the unknown. Friends and family, they will be like a little bit scared for you because they don't want to see you crash and burn, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean you have to not do the thing because people aren't believing in you yet. You have to prove to them that you are capable and like prove it to yourself. Oh, there's so many things I want to say, but this has just been has been so good. Like,
we'll have to come and do a part 2, because I was going to say, we booked this meeting room, and people here are very funny with meeting rooms. So I've got you for 3 more minutes left. And
I'll take you on my podcast for part 2.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that. One way that I finish every podcast episode, it's really silly. This actually started having chats with my friend, and we would say things like, I love you more than, and we would say something really random. So the more random, the better. So it'd be like, I love you more than the fact that my local coffee shop ran out of takeaway coffee cups, and they had to go through storage because they know that I will not drink an espresso out of a big cup. And there was a big saga the other day. So I love that they don't even have their coffee cups branded because they got these for me. So I love you more than that. So it has to be something like that. And you got to have 3 things.
3. Oh my God. I feel so put on the spot. Okay. I feel like my neurodivergent brain is going to make this impossible for me now because I'm just like overthinking it.
That's okay. Just 3 things like in front of you.
Okay.
The more random, the better.
I love you more than my children's like haphazard art that is pinned all over my board, which I'm hiding from my screen because I feel like people will judge me based on the fact that I have kids' art all over it. But it actually makes me feel really warm and happy. So I love you more than that. 3. Oh shit, this is really hard work. I love you more than the fact that the postman walks past my window when I'm on calls, like really important business calls, and still says, postman, and waves at me every single day, even though I'm like, please don't do that. I'm working and I love him and I'm lucky to have him. But like, yeah, I love you more than that. And the last one is I love you more than this. Okay, here's a bit of this half-eaten Kinder that I have on my desk, ready for any time that I'm having a wobble and I need a bit of a sugar hit. And I've forgotten to eat it last time, so now I've got half left, and I'm actually going to probably eat it as soon as we finish up here. I love you more than that.
They were perfect. Okay, good.
Because I'm like, I don't know if that even worked. Like, I don't
No, that's
fully
perfect.
understand.
That's perfect. That's perfect. The more random, the better. When people say something and I'm like, no, this is too serious. Like, it doesn't work.
Okay. I love it. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you so much,
photo.
gorgeous Amy. Oh, yeah, hold on.
My absolute pleasure. I had so much fun. What a great way to start the day. Oh my God, so good.
I've loved this. Thank you so much. Where can everyone find you before we wrap up?
Sun Mother Amy on Instagram. If you type in Sun Mother anywhere, you'll find me. I'm on, like, I have a website. I have all different channels. SUN, Sun Mother. That's me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hot Stuff. And I'll
pleasure.
see you on your podcast and also online.
Yes. Bye.
Bye, babe.